everybody, welcome to my channel.
Audrey Hepburn was a British actress and humanitarian, widely regarded as one of the most iconic and beloved figures in film and fashion history. Born on May 4, 1929, in Brussels, Belgium, Hepburn rose to fame in the early 1950s with her breakthrough role in Roman Holiday, 1953, for which she won an Academy Award for Best Actress. Her elegance, charm, and unique blend of vulnerability and strength captivated audiences and made her a defining star of Hollywood's golden age. She went on to star in a series of classic films, including Sabrina, 1954, Funny Face, 1957, Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961, My Fair Lady, 1964, and Charade, 1963. Beyond her acting talents, Hepburn became a fashion icon through her collaborations with designer Hubert de Givenchy, who created many of her most memorable looks. Later in life, Hepburn dedicated herself to humanitarian work, serving as a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. She traveled extensively to raise awareness and provide aid to children in need around the world, earning the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1992 for her efforts. Audrey Hepburn died on January 20, 1993, in Switzerland, but her legacy endures through her timeless films, her contributions to humanitarian causes, and her enduring status as a symbol of grace, compassion, and style. Early life in World War II. Audrey Hepburn was born Audrey Kathleen Ruston to an English father and a Dutch baroness. Her childhood was marked by upheaval. Her parents divorced when she was young, and she lived in the Netherlands during World War II under Nazi occupation. The war deeply affected her. She suffered from malnutrition and witnessed acts of brutality that left a lasting impression. These early experiences later inspired her dedication to humanitarian work. Rise to stardom after the war, Hepburn studied ballet and performed in theatre productions in London. Her transition to film was swift. Her natural elegance and expressive eyes caught the attention of producers. She was cast in Roman Holiday opposite Gregory Peck, and her performance charmed audiences and critics alike, earning her an Oscar, a BAFTA, and a Golden Globe. Hollywood icon Audrey Hepburn became known for playing characters who were both refined and emotionally complex. Her portrayals often combined a sense of innocence with wit and strength. Among her most celebrated roles, Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's, her portrayal of the stylish, enigmatic New York socialite became a cultural touchstone. Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. She embodied the transformation from Cockney flower girl to refined lady with grace and vulnerability. Princess Anne in Roman Holiday. Her debut performance still ranks as one of the greatest in cinematic history. Fashion legacy. Hepburn redefined beauty standards with her slender frame, short hair, and simple elegance. Her long-standing friendship with French designer Hubert de Givenchy led to some of the most memorable fashion moments in film. Her little black dress from Breakfast at Tiffany's remains one of the most iconic garments in pop culture. Personal life. Audrey Hepburn was known for her humility and reserved nature. Despite her fame, she preferred a quiet, family-focused life and avoided the excesses of Hollywood. She was married twice and had 2 sons. Though her relationships were not always easy, she remained deeply committed to her children. Humanitarian work. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Hepburn became a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. She visited countries like Ethiopia, Sudan, Vietnam, and Somalia, raising global awareness about child hunger and poverty. She approached this work with the same intensity and sincerity she brought to acting. Death and legacy. Audrey Hepburn died of appendiceal cancer in 1993 at the age of 63. Her funeral was attended by family, friends and admirers from around the world. She was buried in Tolochenaz, Switzerland. Today, Audrey Hepburn is remembered not just for her film roles but as a symbol of timeless elegance, quiet strength, and humanitarian spirit. Her legacy lives on in her films, the Audrey Hepburn Children's Fund, and the countless people she inspired with her life and work. As you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself, the other for helping others. Audrey Hepburn. Cultural impact and influence. Audrey Hepburn was more than a film star, she became a cultural archetype. Her image defined post-war femininity in contrast to the voluptuous bombshells of the 1950s like Marilyn Monroe. Where others projected overt sensuality, Hepburn conveyed refined beauty, intelligence, and emotional depth. She influenced generations of designers, actresses, and everyday people. From the gamine haircut to ballet flats and capri pants, her style remains a global reference point in fashion. Her image is frequently reproduced in art, advertising, and popular culture. And she is consistently listed among the most beautiful women of all time, not just for her looks but for her spirit. Relationships and private world. Audrey was known for her privacy and grace in an industry often driven by spectacle. Despite being in the public eye, her private life remained relatively quiet and dignified. Mel Ferrer, married 1954 to 1968, her first husband, an actor-director, collaborated with her professionally, including in War and Peace. They had one son, Sean Hepburn Ferrer. Andrea Dotti, married 1969 to 1982, an Italian psychiatrist with whom she had a second son, Luca Dotti. Robert Wolders, after her divorce, she spent her final years with the Dutch actor, who she described as the love of her life. Though she experienced heartbreak and disappointment in love, she maintained deep bonds with her children and those closest to her. She was famously introspective, reportedly journaling often and choosing personal fulfillment over professional ambition in her later years. Work beyond Hollywood. After Wait Until Dark, 1967, Hepburn took a step back from full-time acting to focus on motherhood. She made only a few more film appearances, such as Robin and Marian, 1976, Bloodline, 1979, Always, 1989. Directed by Steven Spielberg, in which she portrayed an angel, her final film role, and fittingly ethereal. Her reduced output post-1960s never diminished her stature. Instead, it enhanced the mythos around her. Humanitarian philosophy. Audrey Hepburn's service with UNICEF wasn't symbolic, it was hands-on and heartfelt. She visited some of the most impoverished and war-torn regions of the world, including Ethiopia, 1988, during famine, Bangladesh, 1989, following natural disasters, Somalia, 1992, during civil war and starvation. She did not just lend her name, she lent her time, her body, and her soul. Her haunting testimony before the U.S. Congress and at UN headquarters left lasting impressions. In interviews, she often expressed that the tragedies of her own childhood had awakened her sense of duty to help children everywhere. Honors and recognition. Presidential Medal of Freedom, 1992, Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award, posthumously. 1993, BAFTA Lifetime Achievement Award, named third greatest female screen legend by the American Film Institute, AFI, legacy and memory after her death. The Audrey Hepburn Children's Fund was established by her family to continue her humanitarian work. Her sons remain active in preserving her legacy, curating exhibitions and publishing books about her life. She is remembered as A fashion icon of timeless taste, an actress of sincerity and nuance, a humanitarian of rare commitment, a symbol of inner and outer beauty. Final reflection: Audrey Hepburn's life was a quiet revolution, a triumph of elegance over flash, empathy over ego, purpose over fame. She once said, "The beauty of a woman is not in a facial mode, but the true beauty in a woman is reflected in her soul." Her legacy continues to remind the world that grace is powerful, and that kindness, dignity, and compassion never go out of style. A deeper dive into Audrey Hepburn's life and legacy. Clapperboard artistry and acting style. Audrey Hepburn brought a unique presence to the screen, a combination of understated vulnerability and confident poise. Unlike many of her contemporaries, her performances weren't about theatrical grandiosity. Instead, she conveyed emotion with subtlety, a look, a pause, a tremble in her voice. Directors loved working with her because of her discipline, humility, and natural charisma. Noteworthy elements of her acting style: mastery of body language, influenced by her ballet training. A gentle, melodic voice that never overpowered yet always commanded attention. The ability to play both comedic and dramatic roles with equal conviction. Often portrayed women finding their independence: Roman Holiday, My Fair Lady, Sabrina. Dress style beyond fashion. While Audrey Hepburn is synonymous with high fashion, what truly made her a style icon was her approach to clothing: elegance through simplicity. She believed clothes should never overshadow the person. She famously said, "Elegance is the only beauty that never fades." Signature style elements: boat necklines, slim silhouettes, ankle-length pants, ballet flats, minimal makeup, bold brows. Simple eyeliner. Classic Givenchy gowns, especially the black dress in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Her look wasn't just admired, it was revolutionary. She introduced an aesthetic of intelligence and grace, one that still influences fashion today, from runway collections to capsule wardrobes. Globe humanitarian impact. Hepburn's most profound work came after her film career, when she shifted her focus entirely to UNICEF. She didn't just make appearances, she traveled to over 20 countries, often in harsh conditions, to help children suffering from famine, war, and disease. She once said, "People in these places don't care who I am. They just see me as someone who wants to help." Her personal involvement included visiting emergency zones in Africa and Asia, speaking to world leaders about child welfare, using her fame not for self-promotion, but to amplify unheard voices. She received the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the UNICEF Special Award, among many others, but she often deflected praise, insisting the real heroes were the children and relief workers she met. Speech, balloon wisdom, and personal philosophy. Audrey Hepburn's outlook on life reflected both the traumas she endured and the hope she chose to cultivate. She was deeply introspective, spiritual but not dogmatic, and had a quiet belief in kindness. Her beliefs centered on gratitude. She saw every opportunity as a blessing, especially after surviving World War II. Service. She believed that giving to others gave life its meaning. Inner beauty. She consistently emphasized character over appearance. One of her most quoted thoughts: "For beautiful eyes, look for the good in others. For beautiful lips, speak only words of kindness. And for poise, walk with the knowledge that you are never alone." Mirror how Audrey is remembered today. Museums and exhibitions. Audrey, more than an icon, has toured globally. Books and documentaries. Her son, Luca Dotti, authored Audrey at Home, blending personal memories with recipes and photos. The documentary Audrey, 2020, offers rare insights with archival footage and interviews. Art and advertising. Her face graces murals, t-shirts, and fragrance ads. She remains a top muse for luxury brands and artists alike. Social media. Generations born decades after her death still share quotes, clips, and fashion inspired by her, making her an evergreen figure. Glowing star. In summary, Audrey Hepburn was a Hollywood legend whose screen presence was magnetic and enduring. A fashion icon who defined modern elegance. A humanitarian whose legacy of compassion rivals her artistic one. A symbol of integrity, grace, and kindness in a world often lacking those virtues. Her legacy endures not because she tried to be iconic, but because she lived with intention, compassion, and humility. In her own words, nothing is impossible. The word itself says, "I'm possible." Lesser-known facts about Audrey Hepburn. Her real name: she was born Audrey Kathleen Ruston. During World War II, she sometimes used the name Etta van Heemstra to avoid drawing attention due to her British-sounding name. She supported the Dutch resistance as a teenager during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands. She secretly supported the resistance by carrying messages in her shoes and performing in underground dance recitals to raise money. She survived malnutrition during the war. Audrey suffered from anemia, respiratory issues, and edema caused by severe food shortages. Her lifelong slenderness was partly due to this early trauma, not intentional dieting. She danced before she acted. Audrey trained intensively as a ballerina and aspired to become a professional dancer. But after the war, she was told she was too tall and too malnourished to succeed in ballet, which redirected her to acting. She had a fear of crowds. Despite her fame, Audrey was very shy. She often avoided red carpets and large public events, preferring quiet moments with friends, family, and nature. She was fluent in 5 languages. She spoke English, Dutch, French, Italian, and Spanish. This helped her communicate directly with children and aid workers during her humanitarian missions with UNICEF. Movie camera behind the scenes. Audrey on set during breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey was reportedly nervous about playing the role of Holly Golightly. She once said, "I'm an introvert playing an extrovert, and it's exhausting." In Sabrina, she and co-star William Holden had a brief romance. Holden wanted to marry her, but she ended the relationship when she discovered he had undergone a vasectomy. She desperately wanted children. During My Fair Lady, her singing voice was dubbed by Marni Nixon, which devastated her, as she had worked hard on the vocals. She was graceful about it in public but privately heartbroken. Globe. Her enduring influence in modern culture. Audrey Hepburn's influence has crossed genres, generations, and continents. Film. Actresses like Natalie Portman, Emma Watson, Anne Hathaway, and Lily Collins have cited her as a role model. Fashion. Designers like Valentino, Ralph Lauren, and Karl Lagerfeld have drawn inspiration from her timeless look. Social media. She remains one of the most quoted celebrities online, with images of her circulating in inspirational posts, fashion retrospectives, and mental health content due to her gentle wisdom. Pop music and art. Referenced in songs by artists like Beyoncé and Lana Del Rey, and featured in works by Andy Warhol and contemporary illustrators. Brain. Emotional and philosophical legacy. Audrey Hepburn's appeal isn't just aesthetic, she speaks to something deeper. Hope in the face of suffering. Kindness as a form of strength. Beauty that grows from empathy and honesty. For many, she remains a source of emotional comfort, especially those who feel drawn to classic grace, authenticity, or gentle resilience. She is often invoked during times of personal reflection, grief, or aspiration. Books. Her life in quotes, expanded collection. Here are a few more of her most moving words. I believe in being strong when everything seems to be going wrong. To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. The best thing to hold on to in life is each other. Why change? Everyone has their own style. When you have found it, you should stick to it. You can tell more about a person by what they say about others than by what others say about them. A quality education has the power to transform societies in a single generation. Spoken during a UNICEF address, her final years. A quiet goodbye in the last years of her life, Audrey lived in Tolochenaz, Switzerland, in a peaceful countryside home. She gardened, walked her dogs, and reflected on life with those closest to her. Diagnosed with a rare form of abdominal cancer in 1992, she spent her final months surrounded by loved ones. On the day of her funeral, January 24, 1993, Gregory Peck, her longtime friend, read a poem she loved, Unending Love by Rabindranath Tagore. Military Medal. A legacy of light. Audrey Hepburn's legacy can be summarized not in the number of awards she received, but in the gentle, human spirit she represented. She gave the world glamour without vanity, fame without arrogance, and influence without ego. Posthumous legacy and preservation of memory. Film, projector documentaries and biographies. Since her passing, multiple documentaries have attempted to capture the mystery and soul of Audrey Hepburn, notably Audrey, 2020, a poignant documentary featuring rare footage, interviews with family, and interpretive dance to express Audrey's inner world. Audrey Hepburn, The Fairy Tale Princess by Sean Hepburn Ferrer, her eldest son's intimate biography of her life, mixing history with personal anecdotes. Enchantment, The Life of Audrey Hepburn by Donald Spoto, a respected biographical work with deeper insights into her emotional life and inner contradictions. These works often reflect a recurring theme. Audrey's elegance was not a mask, it was a strength shaped by pain. Classical building. The Audrey Hepburn Children's Fund, AHCF, established in 1994 by her sons Sean and Luca. The Audrey Hepburn Children's Fund was created to continue her mission of helping the world's most vulnerable children. It supports programs in education, clean water access, disaster relief, and emergency medical services. Highlights of their work: traveling photo exhibits like Timeless Audrey have raised funds and awareness globally. Collaborations with UNICEF and other NGOs ensure her mission remains active in the modern world. They keep her image from being commercialized in ways she wouldn't have approved, focusing on causes, not profit. Global cultural icon. Audrey Hepburn's legacy crosses borders, languages, and generations. Her influence is felt in Japan, admired for her minimalism and subtlety. Frequently referenced in manga, anime, and Haruki Murakami's writing. Italy, revered not just as a film star, but as someone who embraced Italian culture. She lived in Rome and married Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dotti. South Korea, celebrated by K-pop idols and fashion influencers who emulate her clean, refined style. France, an eternal muse to the fashion industry and praised for her lifelong connection with Givenchy. Her face is recognized in nearly every country. She represents not just a person, but an ideal, beauty with soul. Brain. A feminist perspective. Though Audrey Hepburn was not vocal in political feminism, her legacy supports it in.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching.